Hi, everybody. So, my name is Sophia Raffi. I teach nutrition here, but I'm also part of the Women's History Month Committee. And on behalf of the Women's History Month Committee, thank you all so much for being here. And those of you who are joining online, thank you very much for attending. So this year's theme is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future and basically it encompasses financial sustainability, community resilience, leadership succession, and intergenerational equity. So today we have a panel discussion with 5 very inspirational women that are sitting here today. So I will be introducing them, and I'm going to start with Dr. Carolyn Piguera-Spencer. So Dr. Spencer, she has a PhD in social welfare from Fordham University. She is a human services and pre-social work instructor here, a curriculum field coordinator, and a faculty advisor for the Pre-Social Work Club. She's a licensed clinical social worker and an author whose work includes published peer-reviewed research and a book chapter supporting emerging social workers. So thank you for being here. We also have Dr. Carmen Martinez Lopez. She has a PhD in international business with an emphasis in management from the University of Texas, Pan American, and now it's, I think, renamed University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, right? Yeah. Yes. So Dr. Martinez Lopez is the Dean of School of Business, not social work. She's the Dean of the School of Business and Professional Careers at SUNY Westchester Community College, and she has a background of international business and management in which she's led academic initiatives and published research. She served on several regional and national boards, focusing on student success and community engagement. So thank you. We also have Dr. Gwen Roundtree Evans. She's a full professor and she's the director of Educational Opportunity Program. She has a doctorate in higher and adult education and student personnel administration from the Teachers College of Columbia University. Dr. Roundtree Evans has worked in the area of higher and adult education for over 50 years. Previously, she worked in administrative positions at Morgan State University and at William Patterson University. Dr. Roundtree Evans has distinguished herself at this institution and has been presented with the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Professional Service and the Westchester Community College Faculty Excellence Award. Professor Roundtree Evans is an adjunct instructor and teaches college success and the freshman year seminar. She also serves as a member of the executive board of the Westchester Community College Federation of Teachers. In addition, she has facilitated several workshops in the areas of diversity, transfer, and student development. Wow, that's great. We also have Dr. Lady Pichardo. She's the Assistant Vice President and Dean of Student Success. She has a doctorate in education and higher education administration from National University. And she has over 20 years of experience in elementary and higher education combined. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in elementary education, and a master's degree in administration and supervision, and a doctorate in higher education administration. Cool. As the AVP and Dean of Student Success, her position provides an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of those who are most vulnerable and who need the care and the dedication to achieve a higher education degree. Thank you for being here. And last but definitely not least, we have Dr. Latasha Hamlet. She has a Doctor of Education and Doctor of Education, and she is Executive Leadership from St. John Fisher University. She's the Assistant Dean of Workforce Development, leading strategic initiatives that align workforce education and training with industry needs and pathways to employment. She is dedicated to expanding equitable access to opportunity and driving economic mobility through education, workforce development, and community partnerships. So thank you for being here as well. So before we get started, we did ask each of our panelists just to give a small, short word or phrase that inspires them and how it keeps them grounded and motivated. So Dr. Piera Spencer said that her word was legacy. She has had remarkable mentors in social work, and she wants to ensure that the knowledge and compassion is passed down to her and inspire the next generation. So that's great. Dr. Lopez said her word was curiosity and generosity, and that's motivated her career. Dr. Roundtree Evans said her word was faith and her trust in God. Dr. Pichardo said she actually has a quote, which is from FDR. And the quote is, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you are absolutely right. So it's a growth mindset. Dr. Hamlet, her fuel, I guess sustainability fuel is faith and the assignment to open doors for others. So with that, I would like to just take it away to the panelists and thank you all again for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here and from wherever you are, in your offices, at home. Back a little. My name is Iskra Hernandez, and I am one of the academic counselors in the Center for Academic Counseling and Student Success. And I'm here to be the moderator of the panel. Today, we are looking at sustainability through a very specific lens, the human sustainability of women of color in higher education. By the way, you like my cards? You see this? I took this job very serious. So a little reality check and statistics. To understand why this conversation is so critical, we have to look at the blueprint of academia right now. Do you know that while women now earn about 54% of all doctorates in the United States, the reality for women of color is vastly different. Out of all doctorates awarded annually, Asian women earn about 5%. Black and Latina women each earn about 4%, and Native American women earn less than 0.5%. Combined, women of color account for only 12 to 15% of all doctorates. So these women, congratulations. You guys have done the work. Women of color make less than 10% of all full professionals in the country. That is exactly why we are here today. We have an incredible panel of deans, faculty, and leaders who have beaten those odds. But today is not just about how they survive the pipeline, it's about how they are redesigning the room for all of us. So let's dive right into it. My first question, I want to start with the human story of the journey. So I'm going to ask Dr. Roundtree and Dr. Peguero, whoever wants to answer first. As women of color who hold doctorate while working in student-facing roles, how do you model sustainability for your students? How do you show them that success doesn't have to come at a cost of their well-being?
Thank you. You're adorable. Do you want to go first, Dr. Roundtree, please?
It's up to you.
Yep.
You okay. So, thank you very much, Professor Hernandez, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
When I'm teaching a course or counseling students, I tell my story as a first-generation college-educated woman whose mother took my twin sister and me to the offices downtown where she cleaned. And she would say to us, if you get your education, you would not have to work as hard as I work. And we wanted to make our mother proud. I also appropriately disclose some of my disappointments, failures, and successes to my students and to my fellow colleagues. By doing this, I can better connect with students and engage more fully I try to get them to see that you can turn lemons into lemonade. And I'll just tell you very briefly, when the marriage with my daughter's father, when it dissolved, it was very disappointing. And I said to myself, I made a goal for myself. I says, before I am 40, I'm going to complete my degree. I had already completed the coursework at Teachers College, Columbia University. And I says, I've got to get this dissertation written because life happens. Like when you're taking your courses and things just happen in life. And so it was about 10 years, but I had finished the coursework within maybe 2 or 3 years. And when that happened, I says, I'm going to finish my doctorate. I'm going to concentrate on raising my daughter and on myself. And I was able to take advantage of the support. You have to know your inner circle. And that's how I was able to do it. And sure enough, I participated in the graduation at Teachers College before I was 40.
Oh, that's a beautiful, I love that. So I want to first start out, hello, everybody, and hello to my class. Thank you for coming. I want to just start out with just defining sustainability. Sustainability means, can I do this long-term, right? And that's exactly what you want to think about. When you're looking at your career, when you're at this level, you think, I want to finish, I want to do this, and I want to be done. The reality is, this is not linear. Things are going to happen. There's going to be hiccups. The way you remain sustainable is you continually remember why you started this. You continually remember, I want this long term. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you have the people that adore you. So when you want to quit, you go straight to them and you say, I want to quit. And they're going to say, are you out of your mind? We have a plan. We have a party. We have plans for you. And these people are going to continuously fuel you. It took me 8 years to get my dissertation finished. 8 years. And in those 8 years, the people that supported me, they have a PhD too. Because they have read every paper I've written. They have heard every presentation. They're so sick of social welfare that they're like, no more. But it's 8 years. And that's the point. The point is, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you have to start out with that mindset. Thank you, Professor.
Yes, support is very, very important. Not only when you're going through this process, but also when you're going through the process that you guys are going right now, right? I transferred schools. I was at a different school, and then I'm at a different school. And I transferred because I felt lonely. I felt like I had zero support. So support is very important, as both of our panelists mentioned. Dr. Pichardo, Dr. Martinez Lopez, Dr. Hamlet Carver. When you were in the middle of your doctoral journey, what was the one non-negotiable you kept for your own sanity to ensure you reached the finish line?
I guess I'll start. Good morning, everyone. My one non-negotiable for me was me, protecting my sense of self and who I was. Because during my doctoral journey, I was the youngest person at the time in the room. And that pathway, my pathway in higher education wasn't a conventional one. So it wasn't high school to college, to degree to degree. I took a little different route. And because of that, there were moments when I struggled with confidence and questioned whether I belonged in that room. And one person said to me at the time, you always look down where your feet is at. And if your feet is there, that's where you're supposed to be. So one of the commitments I made to myself was that I would not allow the moments of doubt to define who I am and my journey. I also had to learn that belonging isn't something others give you. It's something that you have to claim for yourself. So staying connected to my why was helped push me through those difficult times. And for me to grow as a person and grow as a woman and to grow into who I was supposed to be at that time. So for me, the doctor wasn't just about a personal achievement. It was about expanding my life and my ability to serve others and create opportunities for communities that I care about. Dr. Gwen mentioned that she was a first generation, and I was many firsts in my family line. I was the first to finish high school, the first to graduate with a bachelor's, the first to graduate with a master's, the first to graduate with my doctorate. So I was a many first. So I was a barrier, right? I was breaking barriers, right, for the generation coming behind me. So protecting my confidence, my purpose, and my well-being became essential. And because of that, I was able to stay in the journey and finish.
Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here and joining us in this very important conversation, a very timely conversation as well. So my experience, very much like my colleagues, very similarly, I started my doctorate, my doctoral journey during the pandemic. And it was by far the toughest and most challenging journey of my life. I have 3 children. One at that time, 2 in high school, and my youngest son, Anderson, nonverbal autistic, who I had to put everything on pause to be on the computer with him, teaching him, going through all of the therapies with him on screen, and then waiting until he would fall asleep at 9 o'clock at night to get on the computer and then do my writing and embark in my research. My non-negotiable was work-life balance. I had to very quickly pivot and very quickly realize that if I was going to stay the course during the most darkest time in the nation, the country, I was going to have to truly have a healthy work-life balance, to not allow everything else that was going on around us to deter me from my goal. My husband is a retired NYPD officer. He was an essential employee. I had to be home alone with the children for days on end. I would not see my husband for days. So I had no help during that time. But what fueled me was my support system, my daughter, my oldest son, and really, really having that determination to understand if this is what I want and this is what God's perfect will for me is at this time, then I'm going to make it happen. And I did. And luckily, I can tell you that I was able to complete my doctorate in only 3 years.
Good morning. What a great day at SUNY Westchester Community College. You are all here because you are intellectual, because your intellectual curiosity. I agreed to participate in this panel because I would like to share best practices for how to achieve your academic and professional goals. I have many recipes for you. Be ready. Like the academic journey, the professional journey requires dedication and commitment. I am here as a human being, as an educator who believes the potential of all our students. Yes, we believe in each one of you. My colleagues, we believe in one of you, and the members of our community in Westchester County. Now, I will be happy to answer the question, but I have an obligation to define this part because I believe I am the person who graduated with her PhD after learning English. My first language is Spanish, Español, and I learned English when I was almost 40 years old. Okay? I didn't wait until the middle of my PhD program to identify the non-negotiable issue to keep my sanity. No. I'm going to share with you why. The reason was that I had the best faculty members on my dissertation committee. They were my professors, and each one of them took the responsibility seriously. From the beginning of my PhD program, they advised my two, the four members of my dissertation committee, 3 men, great human being, and 1 woman. One of them Latino, the other whites. And they were my mentor. And I am very grateful each day for each one of them. And they advised me to organize my schedule. I was listening to each one of them. And then I identified my time for teaching. I was a teaching assistant. I was in panic because I received a scholarship. And the main condition was to teach introduction to business in English. And I said to the dean, I said, no, I will pay for my PhD. And she was like, take this or let it. Okay, I will take the scholarship and I will teach introduction to business in English, but I will be more comfortable to teach that in Spanish. Okay. For conducting research, I was a research assistant from the president of my committee. For preparing and attending my classes as a PhD student, and for researching for my dissertation, I was a student. In addition, I had my personal schedule. Some of me know me here. They know that I love celebrations. And then I organized my schedule for going to the gym, attending church, and attending events with the community and the families of my classmates. My classmates were my family. I was in Texas by myself. My family was in Colombia. And my husband was in New York. And then that community, those classmates, until today, we keep in contact and we visit each other. We are madrinas and padrinos, godfather and grandmother to some of them. In other words, I combined my academic and job obligations. I was working. Okay, remember that. I was researching, teaching for my institution, the University of Texas Pan American at that time, today Rio Grande Valley. And then I combined my academic and job obligations with my personal and social life. The lesson for future professionals, for my students, for our students, it is to be organized and follow the recommendation from your professor, please. I followed those recommendations from my professor. Follow the recommendations from your mentors and all the people around you. We are here for all of you, please.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez-Lopez. Dr. Spence, in the classroom and within your department, how do you challenge the status quo to make academia a more hospitable environment for the next generation of scholars?
That is an excellent, excellent question. So working at a community college, we learned that a lot of our students are non-traditional, first and foremost. So I really institute their lived experience. I am aware that a lot of students feel like I haven't been in school in years. I don't know a thesis sentence. I don't know how to write well, but they know their lived experience. So I make sure that whatever they're talking about, I try to connect it to theory. I try to connect it to whatever we're learning or what we're learning about. So they feel that they are connected to the information. Because once they feel like, oh, I was doing that, I just didn't know this had an academic name, they feel scholarship. So allowing them to make it attainable for them, like laying the groundwork, like you don't have to be born a genius. The majority of the people who are scholars learn to be scholars. This is attainable. That's how I make it hospitable.
How about you, Dr. Gwen?
Oh,
Roundtree
okay.
Evans.
Dr. Spencer has a fan club. We should have all brought our fan clubs. So I consider myself to be a very personable person who enjoys conversing with people. You know, I give compliments. I strive to be resourceful and encouraging. And we must always remember to leave the proverbial ladder down because someone else wants to aspire. And we are obligated to whom much is given, much is required. And so I also endeavor to see students and fellow colleagues holistically. You must see each other and validate and recognize them for the people they are currently or presently. We realize that we're all in the process of becoming, in the state of becoming, as Dr. Susan Taylor has said, the former editor-in-chief of Essence Magazine. She said that we are to be in the state of becoming. What can we do to become better versions of ourselves?
Thank you. Dr. Pichardo, as a leader in administration, how are you shaping a sustainable future where policies, not just people, support women of color?
I found that to be such a wonderful question, but a tough question. A very difficult question. It's like, ooh, you really made me think in that one. I just want to answer with two things. How do we shape institutional policy? For me, number one is establishing more formal mentorship opportunities for our women of color, but not only women of color, for all of our students, for all of our staff. I am a big proponent of professional development, of really tapping into someone's strengths and encouraging them to move forward. I consider myself to be a daily mentor to my team, to my staff, everyone around me. I have had, I think it's a blessing, the gift of tapping into people's talents and encouraging them to move forward, even though they didn't think that they could move forward and do it. There is one particular person that comes to mind. She used to work for me at RCC. She was a part-time employee for me, and now she works here in the TRIO program. Older adult student, Ms. Clarissa Cinceno. She's a living testimony of what formal mentorship looks like institutionally. And I remember looking at her and saying, you know, what is it that you wish? What is it that you want to be? What do you see yourself doing? She said, well, maybe one day doing, you know, a master's. I said, okay, great. A master's in what? She said, well, I really love, I saw quickly how she was so motherly to the students in our EOP program, in our TRIO program back at RCC. And I said, well, why don't you consider, you know, going into a social work or some type of counseling master's degree? Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm too old. That's over for me. I said, no, who said that? There's no age for education. We are lifelong learners. And I have to testify that in only 2.5 years, she has accomplished her master's in social work through Fordham University. I've had, in the lifespan of my career, many, many tutors that have come through me. Part-time, you know, federal work study students that have worked under me. And for me, mentorship is so essential because I had the privilege and blessing and honor of having very strong women of color, but also Caucasian, that saw in me that potential and really inspired me to move forward and accomplish my dream. So I'm just giving back to what was given to me. And today they are directors, they are flourishing, they have careers, they have master's degrees. And we as an institution, we have to do a lot of that. And as women, we have to do more of that, lifting each other up instead of thinking that everything is a competition. I am here to hold your hand, to lift you up. I am here to inspire you and motivate you. I'm not threatened by you. You are my sister. I don't want to start preaching, but and recognizing my number 2, invisible labor. Have you paid attention sometimes to some people around the room, people that work with you that are very quiet, but they do the work? I call them behind the scenes. They work behind the scenes, behind the curtain, detrás de la cortina, as we say in the Dominican Republic. However, their work speaks very loudly. Recognizing invisible labor is very important because it's not always who's holding the mic. Those people are part-timers, are adjuncts, those folks that are not always presenting and doing, but they are our frontline staff. They're meeting with the students. They're the ones driving the work. And I think that as professionals, as administrators, something at the very core of my leadership is to, number 1, be a mentor to my team and everyone around me, but also recognize the invisible labor and the hard work day to day that is done by many people that oftentimes go unseen and unrecognized.
Professor Hernandez, let me just
Yes.
add something because Dr. Pachado reminded me something with respect to age. You have to think about it in this way. You can be 30, 40, or 50, or 60 with a master's or doctorate or without. So that's the way you should think about it.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Hamlet Carver, how would you answer that?
I was so
Okay.
engaged in the conversation. So,
Very
You
good
know,
conversation.
like Dr. Machado said, I thought this was a very difficult question, and I wasn't quite sure of how to, respond to it and answer it. But, for me, shaping a future, it starts with creating access, right? Access and pathways that don't depend on one person opening the door, right? Like I always had somebody that opened the door or showed me how to register for school or show me that this program, this master's degree program, like they walked me to the door and it was one person. But if it was just an access point for everybody to walk in, right? And everybody felt comfortable. So it's more, to me, it's like, okay, how do we move past that one person opening the door? But mentorship is also important. I don't negate mentorship at all. And it's important for me to mentor my team. It's me to mentor the people that come in and out of my life, the people that I know from the community. Use me in a good way, right? Let me help you become who you're supposed to be, right? Who God intends on you being. And as long as you want the help, right? Because I think mentorship has a slope where it's a two-way, right? Like the person has to want you to help them, right? While you offer the help. It can't just be you wanting to help. I benefited from from others helping me. But like I said, it's not enough alone. What really makes a difference, and from an institutional perspective, is creating systems that allow people to grow, lead, and advance. With my teams, several people, right, that I always encourage professional development. I send them something, okay, you need to register for that, right? Like, let's do this as a team together. Let's sit in this together and discuss it and see how it benefits us in our work and how we communicate in the work that we do, because a lot of the work that we do are affecting the lives of people that are opening doors and giving them access. So in my role, that means being intentional about creating opportunities, whether that's bringing diverse voices into the decision-making spaces, supporting professional development, or making sure that emerging leaders have access to the experiences that prepare them for the next level. It also means recognizing many women of color come through non-traditional pathways. And those pathways bring valuable perspectives and leaderships. Like the work I do, especially on the workforce, short-term workforce, like we get a lot of women of color coming through, some of those pathways. And that pathway of coming into a clinical medical assistant class might be their first time in a college, right? That might be their first time through a college or door or on a college campus. And by them completing it, they're making them aware that they can be successful, they can accomplish, and putting in those pathways, right, from non-degree to degree is very important because that's expanding access. So the goal isn't just about opening doors for a few people for me. The goal is to build pathways so the next generation can walk through them without barriers. And if that means I have to sit in those hard meetings and have those tough conversations and continue to push back and continue to push forward, like that's what I'm here to do, right? That's why I have the ability to sit here and do the work that I do because I was prepared for this, right? So for me, sustainability is about making opportunities to create today that just don't benefit one person. They become part of the structure so the next generation doesn't have to struggle to find their place in the room or in the system or through the door.
Thank you. What do you say, Dr. Martinez-Lopez?
Thank you. I'm going to take a different path here. Okay? I will answer this question in two parts. The first part is we need to be proud of our educational credentials and experience. We are in position of responsibility because of those credentials and experience. You have to remember that part. Everybody, in my future professional, my students, please, in the future, you are going to be proud of those credentials. I will not accept a person telling me that I am the dean because I am a Latina. No. I am here because of my credentials, my experience, and most importantly, because of our institution's mission, SUNY Westchester Community College. I love these words, lifelong learning, lifelong learning. These two words are my inspiration to come here every day to support my faculty, my colleagues, my students, my staff, and every single person from the janitor of this institution to the members of the Board of Trustees. My mission aligns with the mission of the college. That is the mentality we must inculcate in everyone. Please remember about your credentials, about your experience. It's not because I am a Latina. We need to change this conversation. This is more academic part, but I feel the responsibility to be the voice here of the people in my field, international business and management, because I continue very active with my professional associations, the International Business Association and the International and the Management Association. And those are the conversations that we have today. We have to change this discourse. Second, I work closely with HR to ensure that policies comply with employment regulations. Those of you that know me, I am working by the book. I follow all the regulations. And sometimes I say to my faculty, I don't like to go to the correctional facilities here in Valhalla. Be ethical in working. Those are the values that we have to bring in higher education and in any corporation. If you are not living your values, you are not doing the right things. You are not coming with love. To follow Title IX, we are very familiar because every time Title IX is present, okay, it's about discrimination in general and labor laws and apply to all the labor laws and apply or that apply to all employees. I need to follow the rules for all the employees. I am not going to have this group here, that group here. No, I have to practice equity. That is equity. That is respect. That is collaboration. That is inclusion. What is important is having a pool of applicants with the credentials. And when we apply, all of us apply for positions, we apply with those credentials. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So if you had to hand out a toolkit to anyone here or remotely, a student who wants to follow in your footsteps, what would be the one tool that you feel is the most important tool that needs to be in that toolkit? Anybody can jump.
So what I wrote is believe in oneself, never give up, and anchor yourself in whatever keeps you centered. And for me, it's my faith. Remembering that nothing worth having is going to come easy. Secure mentors or sponsors, people who are working in careers and have earned degrees that you aspire towards earning. And depend on those in your inner circle. I remember when I started here in 1991 at Westchester, and Dr. Nada Glick was then the director of counseling. And as I said, I had completed, at that time, I had already completed my coursework, but I needed to take the time, I needed to have time to write the dissertation. And she allowed me to have Fridays and Mondays. And at that time, my mother was living, and so I had care for my daughter. Your children are your priority, by the way. And so it really worked out beautifully. So I relied on her. None of us here have gotten to where we are by ourselves. We all stand on the shoulders of others who have helped us along. There are two quotes that I often share, and one is by Norman Cousins, and he said, "The tragedy of life is not death, but what we let die inside of us while we yet live." And the other quote that I like to share is that was stated by Mae West. "You only have one life to live, but if you do it right, once is enough."
Thank you.
I was doing my undergrad. I had the privilege of not knowing what my future would become. I had the honor and privilege of being a camp counselor at Camp Ramapo Anchorage Camp up in Rhinebeck, which is a camp for students with disabilities and children with disabilities from ages 5 all the way up to high school. And as a camp counselor, we had to go through 2 weeks of training. And we had to go, and we had to had first-hand experience in all of the high-level, high ropes and low ropes courses, because as a camp counselor, it was going to be our responsibility to teach the teens. I was in charge of the teens to be able to successfully complete the high ropes challenges and the low ropes challenges. And there was one particular challenge that really got the best of me, because imagine going all the way up, climbing a 40-foot tree. And at the top of that 40-foot tree, mind you, I was only 18, 40-foot tree. And, you know, you have your helmet on and you're getting belayed up, right? You have all your gear up. And as you're walking up, the person who's belaying you on the bottom is saying to you, okay, start thinking of all of the things that you're going to let go. I started crying. I don't want to cry today. There's so much fear and so much self-doubt that we experience that try to knock us down. We go through a lot of traumatic experiences in our lives. I immigrated to the United States at the age of 8, not knowing any English, going through so much hardship, a lot of family trauma, things that we don't talk about. And as I'm walking up that tree, climbing up that tree, there's like a little wooden, literally, like a little wooden surface. And the challenge was not only to climb that tree, that 40-foot tree, but once we got up to the surface, we had to stand up and we had to jump off to grab the little belay thing that was, it was like if you were doing like a gymnastics course, and the jumping off symbolized, what are you going to reach out for? What are you leaving in that surface? Oh, goodness. What are you leaving on that platform? And what are you jumping towards? What are you reaching towards? It took me 2 hours because as I was sitting on that platform, I froze. I was paralyzed, not of the height, but in my own mental mind, battling, can I really let go of everything I was thinking about and all of the fears that I was thinking about as I was climbing this tree? That moment for me was a transformative experience. When I see that all of the other camp counselors had already finished all the courses, and they were all rooting for me and cheering for, oh my gosh, and cheering, I could relive it and say, you can do it. Lady, you can do it. Just jump. We got you. When the person that was belaying me said, I got you. Jump. Something within me woke up. Woke up. Thank you. And I jumped, and I have the picture of me grabbing the thing. And to me, when I say my life motto is, and that's where I learned, when they propelled me down, I was shaking like a leaf, and everyone embraced me and hugged me. Little did they know what I was going through in my mind. To me, it wasn't just a high ropes challenge. It was way more than that. And that is true of our journey. That is true of our lives, wherever we may be, whatever we may be, going through in our lives. There are innate fears that we have to let go of, that imposter syndrome that says you can't do it. No, there is inner strength that really, really, when you truly love yourself and when you truly know your identity and when you truly know and value your credentials and your worth and your value, then you're able to reach for the stars. Then you're able to keep climbing the ladder. Then you're able to continue pursuing the unreachable, right? And that's where I learned the quote that I will always live by. Because when I came down, the camp counselor said to me, you see, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Can I go next? So in the survival kit, I would absolutely recommend you have a baby picture of yourself. And the reason you want that baby picture is because when you're little and when you're a baby, you have all these dreams, all these ideas, all these things you want to become. And life just, because life is life, tells you why you can't. And you get to promise yourself, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for us. So having a baby picture of yourself, and this is, again, very therapeutic. I recommend it for everybody. And different stages of your life, of when you're looking at that picture, you're like, oh my God, at 16, what was I thinking? Why was I dating him? You know what I mean? Like all the things that you're like, why did I do my hair like that? You just go back and at the age that you are, you're like, I'm doing this for us. So in that survival kit, it's just a reminder of, it's not permanent. You're gonna get past it. And you just have to keep going. And those pictures remind you of the stages of how you got past it.
Yes, it's my turn. So what I have, right, I wrote one thing, but I'm thinking another. One of the most important things in my survival kit for you would, and even for myself, is confidence in your voice and strengthen your silence. And when I say strengthen your silence, because sometimes people think your silence is a weakness, but my silence is also a strength. My silence gives me ability to listen, to understand. My silence gives me the ability to process what's going on in a room, and then to be appropriately respond when there's time to respond, or if the point that I was thinking wasn't made. And then when I do, right, I have the confidence to do that. And just to say that, with confidence in your voice and strengthening your silence, there'll be moments, right, in your journey where you're the only person in the room who looks like you, who talks like you, who comes from your background. And in those moments, it's important to remember that your perspective matters. It counts. And it's not a limitation, right? It's an asset because you bring something different to the table. Your lived experiences brings insight, creativity, understanding, and that people and institutions need. Everything that you go through to a point, it shapes who you are, right? It shapes what you can give to whatever you're working on, right? It could either, it expands opportunity and expands tables. I would also remind students, and it's not even just, it's just women of color, right? Students, that you don't have to just adapt to the environment you walk into, right? You have the ability to shift and shape that atmosphere. Your presence, your perspective, and the leadership can influence the culture in the room. It can influence change. So that's why there's strength in silence and confidence in voice. Because if you can perceive everything that's going on and can speak to it and offer, what you bring to the table to it, you can shape that atmosphere and shift change. So the most important tools I would give a student is confidence to trust their voice, to ask questions, to share ideas, and to lead with authenticity. You can only be you, right? And sometimes we enter rooms where we think we can't be us, and it may just be a process for you to get there, right? But every experience shapes who you are becoming, and that just adds to you. It doesn't take away from you. And if a person can't understand where you come from or understand your particular pathway, then maybe you don't need to be talking and dealing with that person, right? Maybe you got to figure out how to communicate with people on their level, and not everybody is going to look to understand you, but I think it's very important for us to, listen to understand. So we know how to handle, how to move forward, and do things in life. So knowing that you have the power not to just enter spaces, right, but change and shift and shape spaces is important.
Thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues. The most important tool that I am sharing with you is to take advantage of all the services of the college. As a PhD student, I was a good customer of the writing center. I was there all the time. The speech center. I did my homework every time that I have to make presentation. Now, also I practice at least 10 times before I will be in front of the audience. The counseling center, those are the same recommendations that I am sharing for all my students. And the gym. Also, I visited my professors in their offices. It's very important. Go to see your professors now that you are here. They are here for you. I talk the holistic approach that I practice when my students are confronting challenges and they visit my office. It's the same approach, holistic. Is you are a person who has a family, who has friends, who you are part of a community. That is the holistic way. And also be yourself. Know what you do not know. Be honest with yourself about that. I said, I don't know, but I will do my homework and I will do my research and I will back to you with the answer. Be humble. Sometimes people are just looking for their egos, and that is not beneficial for anybody. Be humble, please. Take responsibility for the activities that you are committed to doing. You are a student. Take responsibility of coming to the class. Do your homeworks, read the books, and continue the lifelong learning. Now I am visualizing each one of you the day of your commitment, receiving your PhD diploma. Yeah. And then after you receive the PhD diploma, please continue your research. From my dissertation, I wrote at least, I believe, 3 articles, academic articles, and attend certificate programs related to the position you have in that moment. Remember that your professional life will evolve from faculty, in my case, and then as a faculty, I conducted research, I was teaching, I was looking for the best pedagogy in the classroom. And as an administrator, I am improving my skills in how to advise better my students, how to coach better my colleagues, my staff, and also my students. Sometimes I have to coach my students. And remember that you will need to adjust your knowledge in order to excel. Could you believe that after some years of receiving my PhD diploma, I will tell to you today about those findings and not about the adjustments that I have been doing in my professional life? That is the message that I am giving to all of you. Please take advantage of all the services that we have here in our institution. And when you go for the bachelor's degree, for your graduate program, continue with the same kind of practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. Now we want to open the floor for questions. You guys have any questions for our panelists that you would like to ask? You can feel free to stand up and ask. No questions? Yes.
Hi guys. Finding yourself sometimes it's hard, especially if you don't have a support group. So let's find your support group and find your space. For our class, we found our space. Like, Professor asked a question: are you guys reading? Are you guys studying? Like, she wanted to know where we were. That's a part of intersectionality, guys. Finding where you are and meeting people where they at. And for me, I learn by talking and not looking at my phone. I have to print it out. That's how I learn. So I have a hard time when I go to the library, they're like, oh, here's the code. But the librarian don't know that. And I came to school and professor's like, what is going on, guys? And I'm like, Professor, I don't like when they give me the code and for me to take out my phone and reading the books. It's hard for me. And she said, tell them. So I've been going to this school since 2020. And I never expressed myself to the librarian, like, please stop giving me the code, I don't like it. And, you know, sometimes you don't wanna say stuff because you don't wanna offend people. And, you know, you wanna like do the right thing. And she don't know that I'm not getting the message and I'm not getting the lesson. And ever since I'm like, I expressed myself, I'm like, no, I am gonna print the paper because that's what I want. Don't give me the code, I want to know. So sometimes you just gotta say, how you feel and not just take whatever. And as social worker, I'm assuming most people here as social workers, you know, sometimes we just gotta find life balancing when it's time for us to like, you know, say no or when to say yes. And finding our space. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Paola.
I want to thank you guys for sharing your story, very powerful. I wanted to ask, as a professional who has aspirations of pursuing her doctorate at some point in my life, how did you choose or when did you know what was the right program for you?
That's such a great question. I believe that your work helps define your path. I was an academic support coordinator for an opportunity program back in CUNY for many, many, many years. And little did I know that that work was shaping what my research question was going to be many years after. I always wondered, how come, why is it that our students have such a hard time taking advantage of the free resources available to them? What are the barriers? Are we the ones causing the barriers? Or are there unspoken barriers that we don't know about? Because as professionals, we think we know it all. And we do programmings and workshops and all of these things without the input of students, expecting for them to come. And all of those years of working in the tutoring center, just year after year, semester after semester, seeing the same thing. They rush at midterms, they rush at finals, and then nowhere to be seen during the rest of the semester. That was shaping and motivating what I wanted to research. So I really do believe that if you really take a step back and pause and reflect on the work that you are already doing, you might already have that research question and you may not have realized it yet. So I can speak from my experience, because once I had to start choosing my topic, I knew exactly what I wanted to do and exactly how I wanted to do it. Does that make sense? Anyone else?
So I'll share with you, I'm a Fordham graduate, and Fordham focuses on social welfare. And when I was looking, what Dr. Pichardo, she nailed it. I kept running into women who would stop their lives because of caregiving, and then they would be in financial situations that were just devastating. And I kept asking myself, why is it that women are constantly at the end of a financial disaster when they're taking care of their children? And so that became my topic. Women scholars who, how long did it take them? What are the barriers? What happens? How do we help them? And Fordham University, for me, really had the same values that I had. When they were interested in the topic, they were interested in that population, and that was a great match for me. Also, you know, looking at the colleges, and if they're gonna help you financially, that's a great incentive, because you don't wanna walk away with debt just because you're doing research. That's important.
Yes, Amy?
So I believe our students, all of our students think that every single one of you have a 4.0 average in every single degree that you took, right? So there's this big philosophy. I've worked here at the college for 21 years now. Sharing that with you, that I always say people don't, like Dr. Pichardo mentioned, like those resources are there for our students. Students believe that everybody that has a degree and a doctorate and a master's and whatever degree that they have a 4.0 average. There's this barrier for our students. I had a challenge too as a young child, overcome that challenge. What would you say is that like defining thing that like students don't understand? Like you don't all have 4.0s. You didn't have a 4.0, but you achieved this element, right? You became a doctorate. How would you describe or tell a student, like, go to get those resources, go and see that house, go get that counseling, go get that extra support? Like, how could you say, like, what would be that one thing that you would say as your person would say to them? And like, what was the thing that you went and got help for along their way? And what was that, like, eye-opening thing that said, go and do this and be that person that you are, and that led you to where you are today?
Well, I'll just say very briefly, what I share with my students, I tell them that I am you and you are me. I'm first generation. If I can do it, you can do it. And so I really, again, as I said earlier, I really try to tell my story, and they can connect with that and they can relate to that. It's relatable. And so that's how I connect with students and engage them in that regard.
I utilized the tutoring center 24/7. People don't understand that scholarly writing is a very different type of writing. It is not professional writing. It is not chat writing. It is not email writing. It is a completely different demon and a completely different world. I literally had to spend hours in the academic support center online at the institution with 2 master's degrees. Doesn't matter, because you're learning, you're honing in and you're learning in a new craft. And it was hard to remember the APA citations and references. And oh Lord, I don't want to relive that again. But it was really difficult to now be sitting in the student chair and not be ashamed of it. Why? We have to be humble, put our egos aside, our prides aside, and know, listen, I need your help. I need assistance. It's identifying the help that you need and then conquering the fear to just go get it. So during my research, one of my overarching themes was fear. Fear. The students, the participants of my study, every single one of them, it was the #1 theme of my research study. Students have fear of being judged. Fear of being judged. And that was resounding to me. They would much more go to a peer than to a professor, because there's a sense of authority, right? Like, oh no, I don't want my professor knowing my challenges and limitations. That's a huge barrier. How do we help them overcome that, right? So for me, just like Dr. Gwen, I tell my story all the time. I've taught psychology for many years, and I'm very transparent and honest with my students, because we have to be, and they do. They really do relate and connect. But telling our story and also telling our challenges and journey and knowing, yes, Amy, I didn't graduate with a perfect 4.0, but that's okay. The importance is not when you start, but how you finish. And that's the story that we have to continue telling our students every day.
Amy, thank you for asking that question. Good question. In my case, as a dean, always when I start the conversation with my students, I share with them about the difficulty that I had in my first year PhD program, when one of my professors told me, what are you doing here? You are a Latina, and Latinos here are in the field working as a janitor or whatever. And I am very open to that. And that was not, for me, that was not a challenge, because immediately I went to see the dean. I spoke to the dean called the professor. I graduated with no 4.0. I believe it was 3.7 something, 3.8. I don't remember now, after many, many years. No, but it was no 4.0. And then when my students are coming to my office, I sit down with them. now I had the practice to give to one of my students one blue book. And the blue book the title is my journal and the name of the students, especially my students who are confronting, who has GPA from 1.7 to 2.0. I am working with that group of students because they are now under the responsibility of the counselors for 30 credits. They are not under the responsibility of the curriculum share with 30 credits, plus 30 credits. And then they are sit down with me, and then we analyze the degree works, and then we have a plan, and one of the plan is you have to go to the next door, to the lab of accounting and finance, to the third floor, to the CIS, to the library, to the writing center. You have to go to see your counselor. This is the counselor. The navigator is supporting us in contacting the students and disseminating the information about the services that we have here. And sometimes I am walking with the students to the writing center, to the counselor's office. It's normal for me. I am doing the right thing for each one of my students. And between my building and the final destination, we are talking about family, about where are you living, what are the other issues that you are confronting. And they feel comfortable, just not with me, with my staff. Linda and Anna are here, and Frankie. And they go to my office, and the philosophy in my office is, if a father, mother, student, colleague, every single human being who is coming to my office, my team and all of us know that the person has to live with the solution. I am not going to say, go to see Dr. Pichardo. No, I'm going with the student to see Dr. Pichardo if I need her, okay? That is the way. I am walking like this with my students around on the campus. We are doing that, Amy.
Thank you, thank you. We are just a little bit over time, so we want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, our panelists. A great job. Thank you all, guys. Thank you, everybody on Zoom. And we're going to be here if you have any questions, you want to stick around, we'll stick around for a little bit. Have a great day, and thank you so much for coming.
Happy spring break.
Oh, yes. Happy spring break.